他的那个这边的牧场也都是他的。
哦，这是放风筝在代替的这
那
个。
边的海滩也是。
私人的。
对。
牧场没有你们。
富人，富豪。
农场主可能是。
农庄主。要买门票吗？
要不。
靠这个来赚钱，还越来越富。
在这下来了。
我是几点？
哎呀，好多人在看。
可以下来了是吧？
那个旅游点的。
那挺不错的。
开始走路了。背包不能背。
不能背大包。
就是带瓶水都行了，我觉得。这人挺丰富的，真的有贵的。后来你的包我给你带上，好吧？
Tour, we ask for your cooperation. Please stay seated at all times and keep your head and arms inside the windows. Please turn your cell phones to mute. If you have trash to dispose of, there will be a trash container when you exit. Bottled water is allowed, but food and chewing gum are not permitted on the bus or during the walking tour. We thank you for your assistance in helping to maintain this beautiful place. The road you are traveling is the same one the art collector and newspaper publisher William Randolph Hearst traveled when he began building this estate with his architect Julia Morgan in 1919. They worked on this project for 28 years. We will pass a large Spanish-style house built in the 1930s as the poultry ranch manager's residence. It is still used by Hearst ranch employees today. Shown against the backdrop of California's beautiful natural landscape. Hundreds of glamorous guests traveled this same road to visit the castle in the 1920s and 30s. But imagine Mr. Hearst first as young Willie, a boy following his father along the winding bridle path that would become this road, climbing on horseback 1,600 feet, or 488 meters, to a hilltop that was often sunny when the fog shrouded the coast during the summertime. Later in life, Mr. Hearst said that the road was so steep and the way so rocky that he only managed by hanging on to the tail of my pony. George Hearst knew California's landscape well, having traveled west as a miner from Missouri in the 1850s looking for gold. The geology that caused these steep hills to rise from the ocean floor millions of years ago was the same factor that brought precious minerals like gold, silver, and copper closer to the Earth's surface, allowing them to wash down the high mountain creeks of the West. Though thousands came west looking for easy riches during the gold rush, few succeeded. George Hearst was a skilled miner and geologist and became one of America's. The castle would appear and disappear as you climb higher. Upon reaching the top of the knoll, we will travel through a landscaped area filled with fruit trees, which supplied some of the food in Hearst's time at the ranch. He grew nearly all his food on site, including beef, poultry, dairy products, and fruits and vegetables. You may also see on the left the remains of a columned arbor known as the pergola. It was a path for walking or riding through on horseback. Its columns were planted with fruit trees, apples, quince, plums, cherries, peaches, and apricots, among others, and it was canopied with grapes. At over a mile in length, it was laughingly referred to by Julia Morgan as the longest pergola in captivity. Bottled water is allowed, but no other food or drink. Chewing gum must be disposed of in the trash containers as you leave the bus. We request that you stay with your group at all times. Ask your guides if you need any assistance. And now we invite you to imagine what it would have been like to visit this glamorous estate in Mr. Hearst's time. For him, it was always the Enchanted Hill. Get ready for your enchantment to begin.
So feel free to touch only one thing, handrails made of concrete and wrought iron. They're for your safety on this tour as we climb the stairs. And then indoors, there's an ugly blue gray carpet on the ground. Please always walk on the ugly blue gray carpet. Here's the rule of thumb. Are you saying you're something pretty? You're in the wrong place. Move. You're setting off the alarm downstairs. Now, if you do, we're part of it. It's nearly 50.
맞아.
The basement contains a
Oh,
wine
맞아.
cellar with 10,000 bottle capacity and unfinished two-layer proposal. Now, Mr. Hearst's parents, George and Phoebe, waiting to build on this hilltop while they were alive. Phoebe wrote a letter to a friend, and in it she stated she was worried that Will was historic and somehow got recovery. Should I mention that the house behind me is supposed to be two-story? Yeah, that didn't happen. Dad made the first fortune in the family in mining, gold, copper, and silver. Dad was worth about $20 million when he died in 1891. They engineered every penny, every acre of land to the white. Then he inherits everything, and he moved to 3 places. You see, when Will was a little boy, Mom and Dad would use this hilltop as a family campground. It used to be known as Camp Hill. But he wants something more comfortable for his family to sleep in than the canvas tents they always used. So he engaged his mother's brilliant protege, the first woman architect in California, Julia Morgan. He stated, "I'd like to build a couple of bunkers."
Man, they work
very big people.
There's no posing for photos until we get everybody in, please. Watch your feet, make sure you're only walking on the gray carpet. Please move forward, guys. Let's move to the assembly room. Now, the assembly room is the living room, living part of Casa Grande, second largest room in the house. It's 2,500 square feet. And don't worry, we're working our way up to the big room.
Come on.
Now, I'm always curious when people come up here. Have you had the time to watch that movie that they throw in with your tour? The IMAX theater down at the bottom. Have you seen that yet? They show it every 45 minutes. I'm not selling you anything. But I make fun of this movie a little bit because it's from Hollywood, and I grew up there. My dad worked in the movie studio business. And I can tell you something about Hollywood. When it comes to movies, they don't worry about silly things like facts. For instance, in this movie, they'll never mention that your host is married. Don't you think that's kind of an important detail? I'm thinking his wife probably thought so. If Mr. Hearst were alive today, say he had a Facebook profile, chances are you'd find his relationship status listed as it's complicated. And it was. She marries once in 1903. She's a gorgeous Ziegfeld Follies dancer. Her name's Millie, and together they have 5 sons by 1950. Sadly, though, by the end of 1925, their relationship is kaput. They lead separate lives on separate coasts. Millie's from New York, and frankly, she's horrified when her husband suggests the family live full-time here. And let me give you a little direct quote from the missus. She calls this your filthy little ranch in California. She considers life. He's been invited here so many times, he claims he's slept in every guest bedroom on the estate. And yes, I'm going to end the story right there. He came back in 1983 and we gave him a special private tour. He walked in for the first time in so many years, looked around and asked us sort of an odd question. He asked us when the art collection had arrived. Look around this room. This was all still here. In fact, there was more stuff when he was here. Can you guess what Cary Grant remembers? In Hollywood, they joke 2 kinds of folks. Those who've been invited to the ranch, those who claim they have. It's a big deal to get your invite. As an average weekend party is about 10 or 12. It's a big deal to get the invitation. People just aren't paying attention. They're looking at glamorous movies. Now, he's not here for the whole social hour, but he makes the extra effort to come down before the hour to make your acquaintance. Why are you here if you know that? Chances are you did something newsworthy. I'm trying the race of the district. You see, every July and August in the town of Siena, England, on the feast days, they have a party, a religious festival, and a horse race. And each one of the contrades or districts, they have their own set of colors in the symbol. You know, like modern sports teams do today? It's an ancient tradition everyone assumes is quite modern. And frankly, it gives us a pop of color. In a room that badly needs it, I think. We're kind of drab color-wise. Or are you too busy giggling at Mr. Hearst's dining room table? Do you believe what you see? Yeah, paper napkins, bottles of ketchup and mustard. Hey, this is laid-back, casual California, folks. Where exactly do you think your reputation got started? Probably with the man you're having dinner with now. Now, this is sort of mustard from a cut crystal bowl on a silver tray. The original bottles would be just fine. Kind of like that myself. And when he was a little boy, Mom and Dad used this as their campground. Mother joked she had a favorite set of what she called camping china. Crystal just glass stemware. He doesn't want the table setting to overwhelm you, my friends. He wants the room to do the talking. Did it work? What do you think of the dinner plate? They've put in a copy of the menu, and they've already added in tonight's movie for me. We've got a good one. It's the King of Hollywood. It's Clark Gable and Claudette Colbert in a movie called Brad and Angie tying the knot finally. And tonight we get a double feature, World War Z and Maleficent, Angie's new Disney flick. Who likes zombie films? Oh, okay, I do have some company. Questions, comments, anything? First of all, these were purchased after the end of World War I. Europe's already in a great economic depression, and people are dismantling old churches and houses, selling bits and pieces to an art dealer. They'll find a crazy American will give us a fortune for it. And we'll rebuild our lives after the Great War. This is a good bit, because I have one inside of the commented what they call the Mudahar style of Southern Spain. But this one's from badly damaged. Centuries of exposure, fireplace smoke and soot, cooking grease. In the last century, Mr. Hearst they think it's good for you. There'd be a thin haze of smoke over the stadium. Darlings, could you take a little step back on the carpet thing? There'd also be a thin haze of smoke in each of these rooms. Your host personally does not smoke, but a good host of this era would have provided cigars and cigarettes for his guests to join in, and it has created a bit of damage in this room. So if you look at the cross beams going across, or those of you closest to the silver lamp right here, the area directly above it. Before Christopher Columbus got lost, the ceiling above you has been dated at 1480. Now, if you're wondering to yourself, why would it take 7 years to restore? All right, moms and dads, if the kids misbehave on vacation, I have a new chore for them when they get home. This summer, have them clean their bedroom ceiling the same way we clean this one. One cotton swab, one Q-tip at a time. That's why it took 7 years. And all my girls and boys will now be very good for the rest of their lives. Mr. Hearst chose it for this room because it went with his theme of entertainment. If you look at the frieze work that connects the wall to the ceiling, in the little triangle-shaped lozenges, you'll see scenes of bullfighting, boar hunting, knights jousting, and sailing, ways people had fun in the 15th century. Below it, a 600-year-old French tapestry from Arras in the mille fleurs, or 1,000 flowers style. It gets that name from all the flowers in the background, and a noble sport of entertainment here, stag hunting. And there's even a little bit of restless. She saw me yawn. So she'll alert your host. Pops, we better start the movie before everyone's asleep. He likes these good suggestions. They'll stroll into the room arm in arm, be trailed by their puppies, their miniature dachshunds. Part like the Red Sea for a second. They lead us through a 600-year-old doorway. The keyboard we pass on the way in is what leads the... Have a seat on the benches, please, quick as you can. All right. Please sit down. Don't stand up in the theater. Thank you. Here comes your host, walking through the front door. Here, a rare glimpse of the life because of the people of the guest party. Very important. This is kind of popular gossip columns. Bank of Motown, Bank of Italy, now Bank of America. That's APGME. Of course, lots of the Hollywood crowd, John Gilbert, His Lovely Wife, Dolores Del Rio, Claire Windsor, girls casually dressed to watch a tennis match. Now witness the power of Chaplain Sir. Or not. Betty Charlie needs some help from this man. That's a real Wimbledon champ, it's Big Bill Tilton. There's a 19-year-old Carol Lombard on the right, with a Pantages twins in the left. And even a Wimbledon champ can miss a background. So there's hope for us, right? Claire Windsor's going horseback riding with a very handsome cowboy. Look, he's smiling too. Now your host is dressed for riding, but watch what he does here, because his architecture little Morgan says it's his favorite. The arm winding, he's changing his mind. That statue's no longer behind that town. It's gone, and there's something completely different that's taken its place. Poor woman, she works on the project 2 weekends a month for 28 years. It's a part-time job. Oh dear, he's going with yet another change order. So on the right, a brief glimpse of our architect, Julia Morgan, very shy, doesn't like interviews or having her picture. And he does still look like an avocado with legs. I'm not making that up. They're down at the zoo. He owns the largest private zoo in North America. On warm days, scoopers can get a whole truckload of ice blocks. Now here's a fuzzy kid from MGM and Louis V. Oh, check out the high-tech brand security gate and watch this. Three of those funny little bakes to get to this name, so.
哪里花？哪里花？哎呀，好多花呀！
哇，到了！
哎，花掉了。
不能踩了。
哎呀，走吧，走吧，走吧。Go go go go！ 花呢？
花了。
大嘴巴，哥哥大嘴巴。
看爷爷的鼻子呢，爷爷的嘴巴呢。找爷爷去，找爷爷去。
哎，它飞过来。
Please don't let the baby climb around on the white marble. Tripod away. Again, so you can't use it up here. No, you can't use a tripod, period.
Oh, okay, thank you. Andrew. The lady take a picture. Okay, come on, Chloe. He's not looking at the camera. Hello.
啊，好的，哎。雕塑。
Yeah, boy, see what he says here. He's so distant.
No more donuts.
It's very picturesque.
Hey, seagull.
Hey, flock of seagulls.
呵。
Pancake.
Yes.
Pancake has spicy on it.
Yeah, you don't want grandma's pancake.
Yeah. Spicy.
没有了，这个没有了。他怎么还要吗？还要吗？不要了。 gustacarsena. Yeah, I don't want to wait on
Hello everyone, this is Alex Trebek again, welcoming you back for the remainder of your tour. We still have more to see as we travel down the hilltop, and we thank you for remaining in your seat, and please help us by not eating or drinking on the ride down. To experience more of the estate, consider viewing the film Building the Dream on our giant 5-story screen at the Hearst Castle Theater. Showtimes are every 45 minutes all day long through the double doors across from the fountain at the Visitor Center. This 40-minute film depicts scenes through Hearst's childhood, his travels through Europe with his mother, the construction of the Hilltop Estate, and Hearst's architectural collaboration with Julia Morgan. Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary. There are also many opportunities to enjoy the unspoiled coastline in both directions when you reach Highway 1. Walk out on the pier and imagine the area as a former whaling station and a center for shipping and commerce in the late 19th century. Stroll through the surviving little village of San Simeon, which is across the highway from the castle. It was a bustling commercial city in the mid-19th century, then a residence for Hearst employees in the years after George Hearst bought the land in 1865, then an estate village that housed castle workers in the years after 1919. Its one-room schoolhouse still survives, as does a store dating from 1850.
We have two important missions: to preserve the precious art collection Mr. Hearst loved, and to ensure that through education we continue to bring visitors to this matchless place. When you become a member, or make a one-time donation in the boxes with a knight on top that you will see at the Visitor Center, you contribute to maintaining Hearst's and Morgan's ongoing dream. Thanks to you.
For wine making. Rows and rows and rows of grapes.
I'm not talking to that.